Hello, everybody. I'm Corey Miller. Welcome into this week's episode of Cardinals Weekly.
And I'm Ahmad, Hicks. We have about 2 weeks of the Cardinals season under our belts right now. Some good, some bad. So how about we kick things off with leading off our first segment.
We're going to hop right in by going back to right after we recorded our last episode, opening day. And what an opening day it was, Ahmad. After that against the Brewers, not so great. But opening day was a lot of fun. And we got to talk about the man of the hour first, Nolan Arenado. His first game in St. Louis as a Cardinal. And it just kind of went according to script. If you could write it, that's how you wrote. That's how you would have wrote it. Just what was it like being in there to see that moment unfold?
It was pretty surreal. Our photographer, Don Galloway, was sitting next to me. It was in the eighth inning, and I asked him, I said, do you think this game is going to extras? Because we had a post-game show that night, and I was really hoping that it didn't go to extras because it was freezing in the press box, and we really wanted the show to get underway on time. And he looked at me, he goes, no, we'll be all right. And I was like, all right, cool. So Arenado steps up to the plate, and you're just like, all right, you hope he delivers. This would be that storybook ending. Then, of course, he did, and you just knew a curtain call was coming. He had no idea what was coming. He said after that game, but everybody in the stands, it felt like a sold out crowd. That's what it sounded like inside of there. Everybody was ecstatic. It was a surreal moment, something I'll never forget.
It sounded like it on the broadcast, too, like it was a sold-out crowd. Great moment. Nolan Arenado home run in the eighth inning. Get the Cardinals to win on opening day. Well, one of the things that stood out to me about him so far, other than his great start, which he has had a great start, had a real nice long hitting streak. I think it was 9 games, just got broke up a couple days ago. He's hitting .319 right now, OPS of 947, so he's driving the ball too. But it's the intensity. I mean, this guy goes out on every play and just wants to be absolutely perfect. Today, he had a really good at-bat, or we're recording this on Wednesday. Wednesday's game against the Nationals, he had a really good at-bat, but he ended up like lining out on like a one-hopper to the second baseman and threw him out. And he goes and he slams his helmet down, and he is mad after he just stung the ball, had a great at-bat, and there was nobody on base. It was an at-bat that really didn't matter that much. But this guy is putting everything into it, literally every second he's on the field.
He's a winner. He wants to compete. I think that's what we're seeing. And I think we saw that it was evident in one game before where he was working on a swing with Paul Goldschmidt, and Goldie was recording his swing, and then he was getting ready to watch it right after that. And this guy's a tremendous worker. He wants to be one of the greats that, sticks around here in St. Louis and really has a great legacy. And I think that's what we're seeing. And you want a guy to be that fiery. You want him to be pissed off about a bad AB where he didn't get on base. You want him to feel like he should be getting on base at every chance that he has. And so you love to see that. I mean, that's what we need here in St. Louis.
Yeah, the town buzzing for the whole weekend, even though the Cardinals lost the next 2 games. It's still kind of buzzing, to be honest with you. And after the game, he proved he's becoming a great soundbite in St. Louis as well. Here's what Nolan Arenado had to say after his storybook introduction to Busch Stadium as a Cardinal.
There's no comparison. This was one of the greatest moments. I've been fortunate to hit a couple homers, hit a homer for the cycle one time, and that was one of that's still probably tops this just a little bit. But I've never gotten a curtain call before, and to get one of those was just an unbelievable feeling. Never had that. I was just so pumped up, and it felt like a packed house here today. Those guys, the fans got so loud, and it was just an amazing day. But just to get that curtain call, help the team win, it's just it's hard to put into words how special it was for me and my family. I talked to Matt Holiday a little bit. He told me just really enjoy this day, take it in. And John Jay texted me also. He said take it in, and it's just an unreal day. And I talked to Descalso, same thing. Just all those guys. And for a little bit there, I kept reminding myself to do it, to hey, don't really take it in, enjoy the moment, and I did. And I did with the Clydesdales, and obviously getting on the truck and being in the outfield. Just a great day, unbelievable moment, and just a great win.
Another cool moment from opening day, going back, of course, was Kolten Wong returning to St. Louis. The very first thing we saw at Busch Stadium this year was Kolten Wong crying in the batter's box as they gave him an ovation. I mean, we know he's an emotional guy. We talked to him a lot, one of the best talkers in the Cardinals clubhouse. But, man, it really got to him when he came back and saw the fans appreciating him.
Well, there's a good thing that Adam Wainwright walked him in 4 pitches because he really didn't have to lock in and really get in that bat going. He said it the day before that he said, it was going to be hard holding it back. And that's what you expect, for somebody who gave his all to St. Louis, really grew up here, and that's where his baseball career began, and who went through something of what he went through with that World Series, getting picked off at first base. So a lot of emotions around St. Louis, but I ultimately think it helped him become a better man. And so I think he left a piece of his heart here in St. Louis. So that was really cool to see. And you just have to love Yadi, the gesture, stepping out, letting everybody give him a standing ovation. He deserves it. That guy's one hell of a baseball player.
Gave him a little bonk on the helmet too. That was nice. Wong's always going to play with a chip on his shoulder as well. So every time he comes back, he's going to be looking to rub it in that the Cardinals didn't bring him back. Kind of looked like they would like to have him back now. He could be playing second, and Edmund could be in the outfield there. But we'll get to that. Wong actually, unfortunately, did hit the injured list later in the series. I think honestly he came in with I think it was a bad oblique, but he wasn't going to miss that first game. No. So hopefully it didn't hurt him anymore that he got to have that moment. Hopefully we see him back on the field soon. So let's look at the actual games that happened since our last episode. Cardinals go 2-4 on the homestand against Milwaukee and Washington. You thought they were going to start building some momentum. They sweep the Marlins, get that huge win on opening day with the Arenado shot, and then it's just inconsistency. And I think that's what we're going to be talking about a lot this year, consistency.
Yeah. Pitching, and I like to think with even KK Kim coming back, he will be able to provide a little bit of stability, but you still have to think, Miles Michaelis is not your answer, the ace that you're looking for. You're still looking for Jack Flaherty to go deep in the games. You're wondering if a vintage Adam Wainwright can still be, the guy from back in the day where he can go 7+ any given day and every time he steps on the bump. So I think there's a lot of question marks, and what we thought would be one of the strong parts about this Cardinals team is now looking at one of the weaker parts of the team. And I think it's something that I know it's really early in the season and no one wants to hit the panic button, but I think it's something they'll have to address before the trade deadline if they want to be a serious contender in the playoffs. Because if you just say, hey, our 1-2 punch right now is Jack Flaherty and Adam Wainwright, I don't think that's scaring too many teams in the major leagues right now.
Yeah, inconsistency on both sides. You talked about the rotation there. Flaherty's pitched really well, but he's thrown a lot of pitches and he can't go deep into games. And, that's bugging him. And like you said, hopefully Kim coming back will help stabilize that a little bit. Ponce de Leon has not been great going back to a bullpen role once Kim gets back in there. But we just saw even the offense. Tuesday against the Nationals, they scored 14 runs, and it looks like they're never going to make another out. And then Wednesday, they get shut out against supposed to be a lesser quality pitcher. They did this against Strasburg. They scored all the runs. Then they come out against Joe Ross on Wednesday and can't get anything. So I think we're going to have to figure out who this team exactly is, because right now, other than Goldschmidt, Arenado, Molina, and Edmund and Carlson, you don't know. You have pretty much no confidence in anybody else coming up with a bat in their hand, I don't think.
And speaking of who you just named with Carlson, he gets a day off in center field. You have Lane Thomas come in today, the game that we just watched him. Man,
Lane Thomas had a terrible game on Wednesday.
Yeah, that was rough. And so that makes you even think this, where's the depth in the outfield if Carlson can't have a night off? And granted, I know it's first game, it's still early in the season, but if Carlson can't have a night off and Tyler O'Neill's hurt, and Lane Thomas comes in and did what he did today, then what are we doing here? What are the answers in the outfield? Where are they? It's a lot that needs to be addressed.
I don't know what's happened to Lane Thomas. He was, I think, last year really affected him after being on the COVID list and just never quite being right. He looks like a completely different guy than he was when he first came up, and I really thought he was going to take the spot away from Bader in center field, because he looked like a big time prospect who was getting ready to break out. And man, he had a rough day on Wednesday. Let's talk about another guy who the numbers aren't there this year so far. The advanced analytics are still way up, and you just roll your eyes there. I just tell you, yeah, we're talking about Matt Carpenter. So hold on. Let me get this out of the way here. He's in the top 1% of baseball this season and barreled as many times he's barreled the ball to his bat, and he's in the top 4% in average exit velo. So the dude is crushing the ball. He really is, but it's not finding a hole. And part of that is because they shift him and he can't hit out of the shift. We did see him. He got a bunt base hit for his first hit of the year, which everybody, hallelujah. It seemed like he just won the World Series. And then we did have a cool moment when he hit a home run off the foul pole, and the fans who everybody's given him so much grief over the last year plus, which is deserved because he's been not good. Still has his back and
He's
gave him
been bad.
ovation. I mean, you got to play him right now, though. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. He's going to keep playing second baseman. Edmonds going to be in right field until at least Harrison Bader or Tyler O'Neill comes back, and they can maybe move Edmund back to second and give those other guys the outfield.
Yeah, you have no choice. But I mean, let's be honest here. Let's look at the big picture for Matt Carpenter. He's not doing good. His numbers haven't been good for quite a few years. They're getting worse every year. And I know it's early in the season, but what I think 18 plate appearances, 2 hits, 4
91.
Yeah, and 2 runs scored or something like that. I get that he's hitting the baseball hard, and I get all these stats and blah, blah, blah. But the objective of the game is to get on base and to score or to drive runs in. He's not doing any of that aside from that home run the other night. So, but like you said, where do you go? You have no other options at this point. And I think that's just awful to be in this position this early in the season for us to be dealing with the injury bug. So you just have to take everything with a grain of salt. I think it will improve throughout the season. I think, Flaherty, everybody will start to find their groove. But right now, I mean, this is a guy I'm not high on. I'm not high on him right now. I mean, I'm looking at all the positives. You want him to be good, but where are the positives? Scoring 1 home run and 18, 19 plate appearances? Like, okay,
you're not alone there,
Ahmad.
You're not alone there, Ahmad. Pretty much everybody wants to ready to throw him under the bus. So that's a popular position to have. But like we both said, he's going to be out there because who else is
he's getting a lot of money,
and he's getting a lot of money. Hopefully, if he can start to work some walks, if he can at least do that, I might come off him a little bit and get on base, but that hasn't happened yet either. Let's move on to a positive. One positive in a terrible game on Wednesday. The very first pitch of the game saw Yadier Molina become the first catcher in baseball history to catch 2,000 games for one franchise, the 6th to do it overall. I mean, we just keep saying the same things about Yadi over and over again, and it gets kind of tired, I guess, but you got to say it because the dude is just insane and he just keeps doing it. And he looks better offensively to start this year than I can ever remember him being to start a season.
Yeah, he's locked in. And I think one pitch when he lined out in the 6th inning, he kind of slammed his bat into the dirt. And you can kind of tell that he was frustrated after that. That guy's locked in, and that's what you want. And I know you can make an argument and you can play devil's advocate that, like, hey, this guy he's getting older. His numbers may be declining. His power is not, what it used to be. But then he steps up to the plate. He hits homers. He has timely hits. He has, he drives in runs. And it's like, well, this guy is still playing at a very high level. And his arm behind the plate is still exceptional. So what can you say bad about this guy? I mean, a tremendous mark, 2,000 games. He's done so many other good things for the city of St. Louis, for the pitchers that we've all had, for the Adam Wainwrights, the Flahertys, the Chris Carpenters. I mean, and all the younger players that came up behind him and showing them all how to work. So this guy's just been a blessing for St. Louis. Hope he can play for a while, but you also want to see the production there as well. So, but you give him some slack for sure.
The moment with him and Wainwright was cool. It's usually Yadi stopping to make sure guys have their moment. Wainwright sets his gloves down and steps away and is trying to get the fans into it, even though they were already into it pretty good. Mike Schultz, the first one out of the dugout to make sure they stop. There are a lot of cool moments on this first homestand, even though the Cardinals didn't really come through with all the wins they probably should have.
Did you notice how Yadi towards the end of that, he's telling Wayno, like, come on, let's go. Like, I'm here to play baseball. Like, but it's like, that's what you do for everybody else. So it's like, you deserve this. So take it in.
And we got to say, I was so tired of this, and I don't think we're ever going to be rid of it. I tweeted out, we're not going to stop talking about, there's not going to be people that keep throwing out dumb Yadier Molina's not a Hall of Famer debate until we actually see him make his speech at Cooperstown, because they were out again today on Twitter. I just, like, come on, people. I still don't get it after all this time. And even if you don't think that, it's gonna happen because the writers still vote
They
for
all
this.
know.
They watch all
They
the
all know,
games
yep.
and they know. And so Yadi's gonna be in there. He probably won't be on their first ballot, which is fine. That makes sense. But Yadier Molina is gonna be a Hall of Famer. That's just
For sure.
that's just the fact.
We know that here in St. Louis.
So a big day for Yadi at Busch, bad day for the Cardinals on Wednesday as they dropped the rubber match, which he said after the game would have been a nicer moment if we had won. That was one of his quotes. Let's hear some more from Yadier Molina and his teammate Adam Wainwright after Yadi's 2000th game as a catcher for the Cardinals.
Yeah, very, very special for me to have my brother there on the mound for this game. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I never expected less from Bueno. It's been there for me for many years. And this year, this game was one special game for me.
Yeah, I think anytime you hear, somebody just said this in our clubhouse, anytime you hear the only one in MLB history to do anything, that's pretty cool. And so 2,000 games with the same team as a catcher, 2,000 games, catching 2,000 games period is just kind of ridiculous anyways. And then with the same team here in St. Louis the whole time, it's just he's just a really special player in a really special place, and glad we got to witness as much greatness as we have out of him over the years.
So this week's red hot seat, not really a red hot seat. It's kind of like a red hot soapbox. Ahmad and I are going to get on and talk about three things that we'd like to change in the game of baseball. And I have quite a few more than three probably if I really got down to it. But we'll stick to three. Some of the changes baseball's been trying make sense. Some of them I hate. But here's what we would change. Not so much, I'm looking at our answers here, not so much in-game product, changing rules or anything like that, which I like, which I think is good because I think the game and the rules as they are fine. But there are some things baseball could change. If we were commissioner, here's some things we text. So I'll go first. My first thing is, and I'm going to write a commentary on this. I got to figure out how I'm going to word it. But getting rid of regional blackouts and restrictions so people can actually watch baseball. Because on opening day, for sure, other than the Nolan Arenado home run, the thing people were talking about most is how they couldn't watch the game because networks have agreements and whatnot. If you have MLB.TV and you live in St. Louis, you can't watch the Cardinals because they have an exclusive contract with Valley Sports. If you have a certain cable provider in St. Louis, you can't watch it because Sinclair is not in agreement with them. If you have MLB Network and they say they're going to show the Cardinal game, you can't watch that in St. Louis either because it's blacked out because you have to watch it on a specific cable channel. For a sport that says they want to grow and become more than just a regional sport, you got to make your games more accessible for people to watch, especially big stars games. Like, I think you should have the Angels on as much as you can so people can watch them. So you can see Mike Trout and the Braves so you can see Ronald Acuna Jr. and Padres so you can see Tatis when he's healthy. So blackouts and restrictions and all, it's just too hard to watch a baseball game nowadays, which I think is frankly ridiculous. That's the first thing I'd change. And the second kind of has to do with TV too. And all the owners would hate me and this would never happen. But we talk about speeding up game times, and you're going to talk about this too. There's a big way to speed up game times. It doesn't have to be that much time in between innings and in between half innings. Get right to the action on the field. Don't go to 4-minute commercial breaks. Have guys go in the dugout, come out of the dugout, throw like 3 warm-up pitches, boom, you're good to go. I mean, they'll never go for that because that cuts into the money they're making in commercials and whatnot. But I think that's a really easy way to speed up games that nobody talks about because it cuts into the bottom line instead of stuff like pitch clocks and 3 batter minimums and changing the fundamental rules of the game other than something that they could do and they just make a little less money. What do you think about that, Ahmad?
I mean, I honestly wouldn't mind that. I mean, this guy's And we just think about the whole baseball game in itself, Corey. It's a long process, right? And watching these games and commercial times, it's like while you're at the game, it's like, think about it. When you're playing baseball growing up at home, you don't, when you're outfield in the outfield, you're waiting on your AB. And then you know, like we get that third and final out, you're sprinting to the dugout. You don't want to waste 6 more minutes because you have to wait on commercials, and then you got to wait on the first batters and the second batter. It's like, let's get it going. So I would agree. I mean, especially when you're in the stands watching that stuff on a 85-degree humid day in St. Louis, nobody wants to wait on these 6-minute commercial breaks every 12 minutes. It's like, let's get this game going on, especially when no runs are being scored or there's no hitter going on. And it's like, we're just sitting there watching out after out after out. It's like, I'm hot and these beers are expensive. Let's speed it up.
That's my next point. But now that rule wasn't even for me personally, because I'd go sit at a baseball game watching for 5 hours and I'd be fine. But not everybody's like me, and you want to attract a wider audience. So you got to make it more fast paced. You got to make it not take 5 hours. I think the 7-inning doubleheaders were interesting. I don't think we should be messing too much with the length of games in terms of innings, because then statistics get all messed up, and that's one of the best parts of baseball, is being able to go back and compare things, because it's been kind of the same for a long time. So but we can make it quicker in between innings for sure. I think that's where we can make up some ground to make things flow. Now, my third thing, you just kind of touched on, you're paying $10 for a beer. They got to make the in-stadium experience cheaper and easier for fans.
Yes.
This is going to fall on deaf ears, especially after the pandemic, and they're just happy to get anybody in there. They're going to take as much money as they can because they missed out on that revenue last year. But eventually, you got to make it easier. You got to make concessions cheaper. I mean, they got to be making so much money off concessions that, because they don't pay anything for – how much do you think a hot dog costs for them to buy? Like, come on. They're probably making
like a dime.
They're probably making $5 or $6 every hot dog. Come on, people.
Make it more
accessible. Go ahead, Ahmad.
I went to the home opener and paid $16 for 4 chicken strips and fries. So imagine what a family of 3 is paying. All right, husband, wife, or just a significant other, a couple going with a couple of kids. So if your kids all get a meal, so right, round it up to $20, you're spending $60 on them, plus your sales, so $100 just on the meals, not the tickets. Then everybody's going to want to drink. You're paying $10 to $15 per drink, probably at Busch Stadium as well. So you're spending well over $160 just for a couple of innings. Not to mention, it's a 9-inning game, like you said. On a hot summer day in St. Louis, that bottle of water or that soda that you got is going to be hot in 2 to 3 innings. Now you got to go back and go get you something else to drink. Like you're spending like $300-$400 outside of tickets at the ballpark when you bring a family. So I think. I think the prices have to be adjusted. Yeah, I think the prices have to be adjusted. I think you get more people in the stands, and you get more people who really want to enjoy the games in the stands if you make it more affordable, because there are a lot of kids who, will want to go to the games with their fathers or their mothers, and they can't afford to go because they know if they go, that's $300 to $400 for the month that they're spending on one day and 3 hours. And that's just not feasible for some families.
There's a couple of things to work here. Now, I'm no economics major. What's my minor in? I had a business minor. That obviously shows very much. But anybody I've talked to, if you just make it more accessible, will go to more games, and you'll buy more concessions because it'll be cheaper. I know the Cardinals have a $5 pregame, like you can get Busch Lights for $5 up in this one certain part of the ballpark. And that place is packed every game. Pregame, because people are getting in there and taking advantage of it. So you lower it a little bit. I think it could be a big payoff. I got some other ideas here. I would love single admission double headers to come back. I think that could be a lot of fun, just because you get 2 baseball games for the price of 1. Not a whole lot a year, because they're losing money on that, but every once in a while that'd be nice. And something else I'd like, after the 4th inning, start dropping ticket prices if it's not a sellout. If somebody wants to show up after the 4th inning, okay, you can get this ticket for half off and just fill the ballpark up so those last couple innings are more full if somebody wants to come to the game. It's a really easy thing. Those tickets aren't getting used anyways, so I don't know why they wouldn't try something like that. But
I think the only problem with that is that people wouldn't buy the tickets before the game. They'd be like, heck, just wait till the 4th inning and then we'll go sit in the green seats for $125.
Well, maybe you move it back well, maybe you move it back to the I don't know, 6th or 7th inning. Or
Yeah,
something.
I get what you're saying though. It makes a lot of sense.
People.
And I think at least some rule changes that I would do, and I'll just have a couple of, but I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
162 to 120. I mean, dude, 162 games is a lot. We're not paying attention to 100. I mean, as sportscasters, we are, but as fans, you're like 162. Catch me in August when it really matters, when they're 5 games out of the postseason or something like that.
I'm not with you
I
on this.
see, but my thing is like I just feel like the games in March and April are just to satisfy us fans because we miss the sport. But if we're being honest, it's like after the 4th of July, when there's like no other sports going on, no football, no basketball, nothing. That's when it's like all eyes are on baseball at that point. And then it's like, oh, that's when these races are getting really, really good. So if I had to change a rule, I know a lot of people may not like this, but I'm a fan of shorter games. Let's get the season on. Let's make it more impactful. Let's make every game matter. Because right now we can all agree that the first 82 games, 84 or 5 games,
every game
year,
counts the same. Every game counts the same. The Cardinals lost 6-0 on Wednesday. If they missed the postseason by 1 game, that's the game they missed it by. So
that is very true. That's why I say that argument can go either left or right. So that's just something to nitpick.
I get what you're saying there. One of the things I like about baseball the most, though, is just you can count on it pretty much every day. Oh, I'm gonna come home. There's a Cardinal game on.
Exactly. That's the best part about it.
I might watch it. I might not watch it, but it's gonna be there. So that's what I like.
Dog days of summer. I agree. Dog days of summer. When you're a sportscaster with no other sports going on, you love baseball in the summertime as well because you're guaranteed a minute of content every day. So I agree. Other games, speed of the game. We talked about that with you, Corey. Get rid of some of these warm-up pitches. Get rid of all these commercial breaks that we have. Maybe, just like get maybe 2 innings or 3 innings a day without commercial breaks where we just fly through it. It's like, let's get this game on. Because like I said, when you're in a fan in 85-degree heat and the humidity of St. Louis, all right, these $10 beers are starting to taste like water. And it's like, we need to get up out of here and get to the air conditioner in the car. So let's get it over with. And like the last thing, cheaper for everything. Make it more affordable for all families to come. I think that's when you get in the middle of the summer where you have those days where, it's 35,000 fans and you want to sell out. Well, I think you make the tickets more affordable and then you get everybody coming in from all different backgrounds and everybody can afford a $5 hot dog, a $5 drink, and everybody's happy and have a good experience. So I think lowering the prices, making it more affordable, I think you'll see more sellouts at Busch Stadium and people will want to spend more money when inside Busch Stadium.
I just remember a point I was going to make when I was making that same argument. For the NFL, you get 8 home games a year. For hockey and basketball, you get like 40 something. For baseball, you get 81. So your prices don't need to be as high as some of those other places. Like you said, you bought $16 chicken strips or whatever. That's how much it would be probably at a football game too. But they only have 8 of those games to cram those people in and get those prices. Baseball, you've got 81, and NFL, the seating, the capacity is larger, but not by like a crazy amount most of the time. If you're in a big market like a St. Louis or something, you're packing the house on a consistent basis. You don't have to make it that much because you have double the amount of games as every other sport.
And just hear me out on this. Think about it. Hot summer day, $5 beer. All right. You're more inclined to buy 5 or 6 $5 beers. Whereas if the beer is $10 to $12, by the time you get to that third one, it's like, you trying to go home and go get a beer, or you trying to go to a bar and go get a beer?
I'll usually, if I go to a baseball game as a fan, I'll have like one because it's $10 and I really I can't bring myself to buy another one for $10. So that's usually I'll tell you though, if they start making beers $5, they're gonna have to move up the cutoff inning from the 7th inning to like the 5th inning. Otherwise, people are gonna be taking advantage of that, I think.
And lastly, our final segment, Stump Corey. I have to find some trivia questions, St. Louis Cardinals related, of course, to see if I can stump this brilliant baseball mind of Corey. So first things first, Corey, against what team did Mark McGwire hit his first homer in his record-breaking season of 1998?
First one. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I've seen this. First
I'll give you a hint. It was a grand slam.
Oh gosh. Okay. let me think here. It wasn't the Cubs. It wasn't.
Start out with the hardest one. Get the brain thinking.
It wasn't the Expos. It wasn't the. I don't really know, but I'm thinking it was in the open. It was probably in the opening weekend. I know I've seen this before. I've seen the highlight before.
I know you've seen this before.
Let's go with. I honestly don't know, so this is a guess. Between the Reds and the Dodgers, let's just say the Reds, because I bet they open against the NL Central opponent. Is it the Reds?
You want to go with another answer?
What was it? Was it the Dodgers?
Ding, ding, ding. The Dodgers in 1998 Grand Slam. Okay, that's not bad though. Look at you.
I narrowed it down. Yeah, I narrowed it down
to 2 teams.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Okay. So you should know this one. I think this is a fairly easy one. I remember this story. What catcher cut his thumb right before the playoffs?
Mike Matheny.
Yeah.
You get a big Hutton knife. Yeah, slice his thumb open.
Yep. And last and final question before we let everybody get out of here. How many positions did Jose Oquendo play for the Cardinals?
He played every single position. And he did them all in 1 year, I think. I think he even pitched that year.
Yep.
I don't know what year was that. I don't remember what year it was, but he played every single position.
You're right. All 9 positions he played for the Cardinals. So the Magician, his nickname.
They did. I forget who it was. I think it was This Week in Baseball, which I don't think is on anymore. I used to love that show. Did a really funny feature of him. Like they cut to they like introduced like, oh, we're playing a game today. Who's on first? Oh, it's Jose Oquendo. Who's on second? And they took all the video from him playing all the different fun. Jose's everywhere. It's really funny.
Literally. So yeah, that's why he's still around. But yeah, so that you ain't 2 for 3 today. We'll say like 75% maybe, for that first one. You got fairly close. So I'll make sure I make it harder next week.
Oh boy. Thanks everybody for watching this week's episode of Cardinals Weekly. For Ahmad, Hicks, I'm Corey Miller. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.